Thank you very much for the introduction. I'm going to be talking, let's get out of the way of the screen. I'm going to be talking in this morning's session a little bit about building systems and building systemization in your business. We're going to start off with some kind of personal productivity stuff, and then we're going to get into more of the, the kind of practical and the how-to. And our focus is all around how can we, number one, free you up as a business owner, give you more freedom, and whatever that freedom is to you, whether it's more profit, more time, more flexibility to travel, whatever that is that you want to achieve, we want to help you achieve that by putting the right technology in your hands. And then number two is, well, how can we build a great business that has a lot of value in it, something that you can one day step away from, sell, or just have as a cash machine that kind of runs for you. So everything that we do is kind of built around those ideas, the idea of freedom for a business owner. So that's what I want to help impart with you today. So the first session, first 90 minutes, we're going to be going through systemization and building systems in the business, and then in the second session we'll go through kind of Google Apps and working differently, being able to work from anywhere, work from any device, and how Google's technology can help liberate businesses and liberate business owners. We've talked a little bit probably about outsourcing and remote team members and being able to work from different parts of the world. This is the tech that enables us to do it. So we've got 13, 14 staff now in the Philippines. We've got an office here in Sydney as well, where we run the business from. And this tech allows us to run that kind of global business without massive investments in setting all of that up, without crazy offices and hundreds of thousands of dollars spent on IT systems for everyone to work together. So it's simple, it's easy for you to run and manage, but also very powerful as well. So who's got a team? Either here or Philippines, contractors, got a few people. Cool. Who's solo? Anyone? Cool. It's all right. It's all right. Don't be scared. No, I'm just trying to get an idea of who's where. That's fine. Cool. A couple of philosophies I want to start off with before we, as we get into this session. So this is a quote from Einstein. Any intelligent fool can make things bigger and more complex, but it takes, I like this, a touch of genius to move in the opposite direction. So the idea here is that as we look to systemize our business and create scale and create growth in the business and create teams that work well together, it's really easy for us to create bureaucracy. It's really easy for us to overcomplicate things. But what we want to do is we want to make sure that we keep it simple. Because the idea here is not to control our teams. We don't want to turn our staff into monkeys or robots or anything like that. What we want to do is we want to empower. So really, really important philosophy for us to start off with. Next one, Jim Collins. A great company is only great if it continues to be great without the founder. And what he's saying there is you are not the tree trunk of your business holding up all the branches. Because if you're removed and the house of cards falls down, well, it's not really a business. It's you plus 15 PAs. So we need to look at our business as an entity that can exist without us. Imagine your business is a publicly traded company. Publicly traded businesses can have a CEO swapped out and have someone else put in place to continue to run that business. And that's actually good for the business, every 3 to 5 years to have that cycle through, fresh board, fresh blood into the business. And we've got to think about our businesses like that. It is not an extension of you. It's a machine of which you are the architect for. That's how we need to see it. So we're the captain of the ship, not the tree trunk. Make sense? Cool. All right. Here's some books, some homework on systemization, which are just good to get you in the right frame of mind, the philosophy around it. Who has read the E-Myth? Should be everyone, hopefully. Good. All right, good. We're all on the right track there. 4-Hour Workweek. Who's read that one? Only one. Oh, only a couple. Okay. So the 4-Hour Workweek is written by a guy called Tim Ferriss, and it's a really great parable about how Tim created an online dropship e-commerce store, which he didn't have to touch any stock or anything. He just promoted it online. The stock was shipped straight to customers, and the customers bought it. He generated $1,000 a month in passive profit from that business, and then went and lived in Thailand. Woohoo! Retired, right? Now that's a nice story. It's not necessarily something that all of us are going to be able to practically do, but the concepts in that book around personal productivity, around outsourcing, around what you should be doing, what you shouldn't be doing in the business, around building systems so that they are so easy that anyone can do them. Those are the important philosophies that you want to take on board. So a really great book, and it's a fun read as well. It's pretty cool. Next, if you want to get a bit more into the nitty-gritty of building systems and checklists and stuff, Work the System and the Checklist Manifesto are really good books there. But start with the first two if you haven't got through those. And this is our first practical exercise. This is called the Pool Boy Rule, or the 20/80 Rule. So what I'd like you to do is, on a piece of paper in front of you, write down your target revenue for the next 12 months. So this is your target total sales, your top line, total revenue, total sales. And you should know that, considering we've just passed end of financial year. You should have your budget for the next year. And once you've written that down, I'd like you to get your calculator out, please. And I would like you to divide that number by 2080. You're going to write down a new number. So remember, your total revenue for the next 12 months, your total projected goal revenue divided by 2080, you're going to get a new number. Just give me a nod when you've done that. Cool. All right. Now, what's your new number? Who wants to shout it out? 721. 893. It's all right, no right or wrong answer.
What was the last one? I had the 120 divided by 2080.
So your total revenue divided by 2080. You're going to end up with a number.
Oh, I thought there was another one after that.
Oh, no, that's it. That's it.
Okay,
120. Cool. That number in front of you is your new hourly rate. Yeah. Now, 2080 is 52 weeks times 40 hours in the week. 52 times 40 equals 2080. What this equals is the number of effective hours of work time that you have each year. Only 2080 hours. That's all you get. And you, as the leader and the owner of your business, must be generating that new number, that much enterprise value in sales in the business each hour that you work. That's your job, to generate that every single hour. So if you're doing any tasks in your business or in your personal life that are less than that hourly rate or worth less than that hourly rate, then it's time to change. Does that make sense for everyone? Yeah. So obviously, not everyone, some people will dream of working for only 40 hours a week. And 52 weeks a year doesn't give you a holiday, but this is a guiding metric, and it's a nice reversal of the 80-20 rule as well. The reason that we use this is I want you to use this as a guiding metric for everything that you do. Every task that you're doing in your business or at home, you need to ask yourself, is this worth more or less than my new hourly rate? And if it's worth less, as Tim Ferriss says, we've got three options: delegate, automate, or delete. Well, we'll get to that. Yeah, we'll get to that. So delegate means have somebody else do it. Automate means find a way to have it automated. And third, delete is stop doing it. One of those three. So what I'd like you to write down now is 3 things that you're doing in your business and 3 things that you're doing in your home life that break that rule, that are worth less than that rule. Yeah, everything. I want you to write down 3 for each. Write those down, please. So 3 things you're doing at home, 3 things you're doing in the business that are worth less than your new hourly rate. All right. So once you've got 3 written down for home and 3 written down for work, I want you to write down next to each one if you're going to Delegate, automate, or delete that? What's your action? Delegate, automate, or delete? Yeah, you might not be able to delete the kids. That's okay. Maybe delegate that one. All right, cool. If you're not yet finished, you can finish that one at home. Who wants to share one thing from work and what their action is going to be, and one thing from home? Come on, guys, don't be shy. Yep, over here.
From home cooking.
Yep. And what's your action?
She told me to delete it. But my kids need to. I think it's a delegatable thing.
Yeah, absolutely it is. Yeah.
And the other side, the copywriting and the building out of Entrepreneur, we're doing because I felt we needed to learn it, but I don't think we need
Not essential.
what it does.
Yeah,
We
cool.
delegate it.
Awesome. Good stuff. Who else wants to share?
With our onboarding process, which we're going to automate,
Yep. Cool.
typing data.
Awesome. Great. Cool. And what was your home one?
Housework.
Housework. Cool. So cleaning or anything in general. Good. Good. Awesome. Yep. Who's next? I'm very Gen Y, so like I've never done washing or cleaning for my place in my life. It's always been outsourced. Because I read 4-hour work week, and it's just always been outsourced. Easy. Now, the idea here, guys, is we want you to be focusing on high-value tasks. Always high-value tasks. Even if there's someone in your business who can do lower-value tasks for you. Your job is to focus on the highest value decisions and the highest value tasks. All day, every day. That's what you're doing. Cool. Anyone else feel the need to share theirs? Are we doing good? Doing all right?
Can I share mine?
Yes.
Okay, so several of my things I've put down, I've already automated so I can delegate. That's not a problem.
Great.
But my sticking point one that I put down was my consulting side of things. So
Mhm.
I can't work out how to automate. I can't, well, if I delete it, it's a huge part of my business. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And it's really popular. I can't work out how to automate it. I've automated everything else.
Mm.
I don't know what to do with it.
Okay. So is that area of the business holding you back from making more money in other areas of the business?
That's the area of my business. It's tracking, like the funnel bit. Like that's why I get so many contacts.
Yeah.
Because there's so few people out there that do what I do.
Yeah.
And the problem about it is, it's so like what I do for you or you or you, it's going to be different every single person.
Mm.
So I find it extraordinarily difficult to automate it all. I mean, I've done a million. I have got a lot of automated. I've got how-tos and checklists and automatic emails and all sorts of things.
Mm.
But at the same time, the minute you say I need this, it's going to be different to what this person says, what that person
Yep.
says. So I can't train it, I can't automate it, I don't know what to do with it.
Well, as long as you keep telling yourself you can't, you won't be able to.
Okay, I agree with that, absolutely.
That's a start.
So what I need is something to knock my head into the place of going I can, and I can't quite put my finger on that.
Okay, so I would probably say, so I run a consulting business, and there are some consulting products that you'll need to bring magic flair to, and will be difficult to delegate to have somebody else do. However, it's likely that maybe 80% of what you do could be put into a framework, and you could have someone deliver the basics of the framework, and then maybe you just check in on their recommendations. Or maybe you need to move away from being so specialized and bring it back just a touch to being a little bit more framework-based. You know, if you could serve 80% of your customers with one framework, or if you could serve 80% of your customers 80% with one framework, that might be enough to start moving in the other direction. There are some things that we have done in the past that were so bespoke that would just always require me to be a part of them. And some of those we had to say, okay, well, we just need to stop doing that thing that always needs Pete. But maybe we can do 80% of that in this model that can be taught and can be delegated to somebody else. So I'd challenge you to have a look at it that way. Try and work out, okay, well, as you're doing it, write down, try and come up with a framework on how you're doing it, because you'll just be naturally going through your own internal framework. I bet you could probably find ways to start systemizing what that framework is. And that's going to be the first step in the path to you having freedom there. Does that help?
Yeah, no. it does.
Cool. Okay. Awesome. Start with frameworks. All right, cool. Next up, guys. So this is another one on personal productivity. This is a little bit of homework to download and install a little app called Rescue Time. So this runs on your Mac or your PC. It's free. And what Rescue Time does is it tracks what you do all day long during the day. And then at the end of the week, it sends you a productivity report on where you've spent your time. Yeah, scary. So this will tell you how long you spent goofing off on Facebook, doing social media, how long you spent on news websites, how long you spent on Twitter or whatever else. But the key thing is here is this is going to highlight for you exactly how productive you're being. And what this is also great for is highlighting just how much time you're spending potentially on low-value tasks. Who's got to the end of the day some days and just thought, shit, where did all my time go? Right? Yeah. This is going to show you exactly where it went. So this might help you to see, for example, oh wow, this week I spent 4 hours dicking around in Xero, running reports, doing my own reconciliations. Maybe that's something that you could outsource. Oh wow, I spent, a lot of hours on Facebook this week. Maybe I need to just schedule that, have half an hour in the morning to check in on it and then not open it for the rest of the day. But what this will do is this will keep you super, super accountable on where your time is actually going. It'll also let you know how many hours you're in front of the computer each week as well, which is a nice little target to try and reduce that. How many hours you spent in email, all that kind of stuff. We're going to go through some stuff on email today as well. There we go. Install, set it up. Any questions? No? We're good? Okay, cool. Next up. Has everybody got a organizational chart written out for your business of who's responsible for what in different areas of the business? So you guys have all read the E-Myth, and you'll know that Gerber talks about the idea of a franchise model in your business. Whether or not you actually are a franchise, he talks about the franchise model. How can you build the structure of your business so that if you wanted to pick it up and replicate it, make a carbon copy in another city or another country, how can you architect the business now so that that system is repeatable? And that's why we build frameworks. How can we make the system of our business, the machine of our business, repeatable? Now, you don't have to have ambitions of opening up in another city or another country. But what you do need is just that idea and that philosophy of everything that I'm doing has to be repeatable. What if I sold the business and it didn't have me in it anymore? What if maybe I wanted someone else to, what if I needed to move to another city and open up and start the same business again? So the first step in this is to set up your organizational structure. And everyone should have that drawn up or roughly drawn up. It's a really good one to put in front of your team to make sure that they know, hey, where do I sit in the business? Where does my level of responsibility sit amongst my teammates? But the next level of accountability is to draw another organizational chart 5 years in the future. 5 years in the future. And on that organizational chart, you want to draw, well, what does our business look like in 5 years? What is the structure? Who are the teams? What are the roles and the responsibilities? And you may find that you've got a bunch of spaces that aren't yet filled. And what you do is you put your name in there multiple times. Every hat that you're going to be wearing in 5 years, every hat that your team are going to be wearing in 5 years, you put their names in there multiple times. And as the business grows, you get to rub out those names and plug new people in there. But the idea here is that if we set the goal for where we're going, it's going to be a bunch easier for us to move towards that. Every day we should be making small steps towards that goal. Rather than just hiring reactively whenever we have too much inefficiency in one area of the business and we say, right, throw another person at that. Throw another wage at that. Everyone on board with that? Yeah, cool. One other thing that you can do, and this is the next level, is to build out a responsibilities chart. Now, this is effectively just an expanded organizational chart, but under each person, it actually has that person's responsibilities. It's a tiny bit hard to see on this screen, but under each person, every area of the business, every piece of responsibility that they have in the business sits underneath their name and exactly what they're responsible for. And what this shows is who's responsible for what process-wise in the business. So as you grow and as you scale, everybody knows what area of the business they're responsible for. And if you have a problem, if you have a challenge, if you have an area of the business that's not performing well, you take it straight back to the organizational chart and you say, right, well, whose responsibility is this to look into? You may still help that person fix the problem, but you've got to look at, well, who's actually responsible for helping fix that? So your action there is to make sure that you've got an organizational chart. Level 2 is our organizational chart in 5 years. What does that look like? And pro level is all the responsibilities under that chart as well for each person. Sure. Yeah. So however you want to structure the business, that doesn't really matter as long as you're consistent. And you can use that structure across all different areas of your business. If you draw up an organizational chart like this, and ours has got 7 different areas of the business, we use those same 7 areas in our Google Drive to sort out all our files. We use the same structure in our operations manual to sort the different areas of the business. We're going to talk about that soon. Any other questions on that? Or is that good? Cool. All right. Any questions so far, guys? How are we doing? All right? Yeah, good. Is this useful? Yeah, great. Cool. So now we're going to get into some of the more kind of practical stuff. And we're going to talk about writing great systems in our business, and we're actually going to build some out in the room now as well. Now, I'd like to know from you guys, who's the greatest basketballer of all time? Michael Jordan, yeah. Now, he's not the greatest basketballer of all time because he perfected the double backflip slam dunk. Jordan perfected the jump shot. He practiced and practiced and practiced and practiced and practiced the simple jump shot until he'd practiced it so much, because he was doing this since he was a kid. He practiced and practiced and practiced and practiced until it became a part of him. The jump shot became a part of him. And he was so good at the jump shot that in the last couple of seconds, in the final quarter, the team would get the ball to him, and he knew that he could always rely on the jump shot. He could always rely on it because he'd practiced it so much. And so what I'd like to do with you guys is for you to have a think about, what are your jump shots in your business? What are your key processes, systems that you must get right every single time, that you cannot afford to get wrong when the pressure's on? Because those key processes, and they're probably the ones that are up here for you, these are the most important processes for your team to intrinsically know for your business to be successful. Because these are the things that you have internally in yourself that are the magic that you want to infuse into your business. These are the ones that you believe are essential to the success of your business. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to get you to start writing some of these down. I just want you to write down the title of the process. So it's, I don't want you to flush out the whole process, but I want you to write down if it's your customer onboarding process, or if it's the way that you answer the phone, or if it's the way that you take your customers through your process. Whatever those jump shots are, I want you to write down the names of them, the titles of those processes, but we're only going to choose 6 to 8 in total for the business. We're not going to have any more than that. 6 to 8 key processes that are absolutely critical to the success of your business. Now, they might not be the most frequented processes, but they're the most important. And you can start writing now. I'll just kind of keep talking about the concept. So these are the processes that you would teach a newcomer on their first day with you to break the habits of whatever business they've worked for in the past in your industry. These are the processes that make you stand out and different to your competitors, the unique way that you do things, or the unique way that you want your staff to do things. A jump shot is not just something that you do day to day. A jump shot is something that must never fail. When someone's drunk or hungover or tired, or hopefully not drunk at work actually, but hungover or tired, or someone's had the day off, or someone's just quit, and you're down a few team members, what are the processes that just can't be fucked up? They've got to be perfect. Always. Because without these being executed perfectly, it wouldn't be the same business that you have. So remember 6 to 8, and then give me a nod when you've got at least 4 or 5 written down. These will take some time for you to think about and process. All right, let's get some shares, guys. What have we got? Who wants to share one of the jump shots? Ordering documentation. Can you explain that to me?
So, I mean, you want to set up a self-managed super fund,
Yep.
for example. Yeah, you can't get that wrong, basically. That's done in the correct way.
Okay, so explain to me why is that mission critical? What would happen if it's not done correctly? What's the risk? Okay, so extra cost in having to go and fix it. What about liability? Is that a risk? Yep. What about your financial services license? Is that a risk? Could it jeopardize that? Yeah, there you go. So that's great jump shot. Because the risk of that process not being completed correctly could result in additional administration work, having to redo it, probably pissed off customer if you set something up wrong, potential compliance, regulatory action, great jump shot. So all of those things, if this isn't done correctly, this is what could happen, need to be documented in your jump shot. So when you do flush that out, they're all the things that you need to put in there. Because if you asked every one of your staff members in your office, why is it important that when we download the documentation that it's done correctly, they probably wouldn't be able to list out all 4 of those things, would they? They might get 1 or 2, they'd probably get 1 or 2, but they wouldn't be able to rattle off all 4. And some of them might just say, well, we just do it because the boss says it's important. Now, I'm generalizing a bit here, but the idea with these jump shots are that we want to make sure we identify the why. Why is this so important? And we flush that out.
In terms of generating that across to the staff.
We'll get there. We'll get there.
No, I was going to ask how. I was going to ask the why. You're saying about the why. For example, I've noticed my secretary, for example, doesn't like knowing why anything. She's not a why person at all. She
Okay.
wants to know what, not why.
Yep.
Is that something I should be ignoring and trying to tell her why anyway, or should I be going with that personality trait and going, well, she's a what person, and whereas that person over there, like I'm a why person.
Let's talk about that more when we talk about how we deliver these processes to the team, because that's really great to chat about. Yep. So the jump shots are absolutely critical. These are the ones that we want to get in front of our team and have our team know these intrinsically. Because if all of our team know this and you've got a newcomer who's just come into the business and they're messing up this process, well, then your team will be the cops who say, hey, this is important. Got to make sure we get this one right. Does that make sense? Cool. Awesome. All right, who else wants to share one? Great jump shot. Who else wants to share one, guys? What's one of your jump shots? Cool. So why is payroll absolutely critical for you?
I'm not talking about my payroll, my client's payroll. But,
Okay, yep.
it virtually has to be 100%, and it's very, as you know, payroll's very complex.
Yep.
And it's very difficult to get it 100%.
So why is it important for your clients?
Well, if they, the minute there's anything wrong, there's staff jump up and down, there's consequences with, the ATO, with, the Fair Work. There's so many consequences if anything's wrong.
Yep.
And so that's a part of what my business does, is make sure that that's all sort of perfect. So,
Yep.
So yes.
So it's core to your business delivery, core to your business promise,
Yeah.
therefore jump shot.
Yeah, and the minute there's the tiniest thing wrong, like it's picked up like that. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's really important.
Cool, awesome. Thank you for sharing. Good jump shot. Who else has got one? Come on, guys, we'll have one more quickly. Someone from this table?
I've got understanding client needs and loan structures and options.
Okay, tiny bit vague. Let's go into a bit more detail.
So every client's individual based on what they're looking to do long term. So to win the business, it always comes down to the client's the structure and line up to fit them
Okay,
compared to what they can obviously get elsewhere.
so that's aligning your recommendations with the customer's goals. And so how would you explain that to someone who had just started their first day with you and you wanted them to really understand why that was important?
Basically not always about sharp straight.
Nice. Great distinction. Awesome. So that why, that stuff that you've got up here, that's what's important to get down into the jump shot. Because that's what your team are going to read and go, oh wow, it's not quite about always getting the best rate every single time. It's about what are the customer's goals and how well does our solution fit the customer's goals. And that small distinction might break a habit that they're bringing with them from working with somebody else, or just a belief that they have, a story that they have in their own mind of, I need to get the best rate because that's what people want. Awesome, good stuff. Cool, so has everyone got at least 5 jump shots written down? Just the titles of those? Everyone got them? Cool, was this useful, guys? Yeah, awesome, all right. So these are going to be, those we're going to do no more than 6 to 8 when you go back to your business. But these jump shots and the next little exercise that we're going to do are going to be the first systems that you actually flush out. I'm going to give you a really great framework for actually flushing those out soon. But those are going to be the first systems that you tackle and actually write out in your business. Because who feels like, oh, I've got to systemize the business, but there's just like a mountain to climb. There's a bunch of stuff to do, right? Yeah, by show of hands and the nods that I can see, it's a big task. But I'm giving you guys a shortcut because these are the easiest ones that you can start with. Well, the most impactful. Maybe not the easiest, but the most impactful. All right, cool. Next up, bottlenecks. I'd like you to think about and write down the top 10 systems or processes in your business that are not yet documented, or if they are documented, are not yet being followed consistently, that are holding you back from achieving your goals. What are the things that are right now, the thorns in your side that are stinging you that you're going, if we could just sort out that into a process or into a system, we'd be able to get more sales or get more profit or more revenue or hire more team members or grow the business or bring on more customers. What are the bottlenecks that are stopping you from that growth or whatever your goals are? Might not be growth, goals might be more lifestyle, goals might be just having it run better. I want you to identify 10. And these aren't necessarily processes that are on your plate that you want to delegate. They might be. There might be processes that someone else is doing in the business, but they're just doing them inconsistently. It might be something that you don't have a documented process for. There's just no process. There's no structure in how it's done. And again, just write down the title of the process. It might be your staff onboarding process. It might be your customer acquisition process. It might be your injury response process. All right, guys, let's have some shares. Who wants to share one of their bottlenecks? Just raise your hand. Sales funnel. Can you be a bit more specific? Prospecting, okay. What about it? Yeah, okay. So what is the process that you want to create to have something there? Okay. So what will that process look like when it's completed? Can you describe it to me? Yeah. Yep. Great. So awesome. So we're getting more specific. So what would you call that process? What's the title of the process that you've written down? Have you got one yet? I'd say that would be a customer acquisition process. Your lead generation is going out and finding new leads. This is taking a prospect and converting them into a customer, acquiring them as a customer. I'd call that your customer acquisition process. Now, the reason why we give these a name and we state this is the name of this process, this is our customer acquisition process, is because we need to be able to draw out or write out the steps in the process and have them either on a piece of paper or in a flow chart. If it's something important like that multiple people need to be involved in, you might decide to draw it out in a flow chart and stick it up on the wall. Say, this is our customer acquisition process. That would be very helpful if you're working with someone to implement Entreport or something else to help you have that process work. Likewise, if you've got a lead generation process, a prospecting process which might be cold calling, or it might be doing some kind of outbound marketing, well, you're going to have a process written up around that on what does this actually look like? What are all the steps in this process? I'm going to go through and show you guys how to flush that out. We're going to do that together. But you need to first identify what is the actual name of this process. What is this process for in the business? And be specific about that as well. Guys cool with that? Cool. All right. Who else wants to share one of their processes that needs to be documented? Another bottleneck. Yeah. Content curation. Okay. Yep. And so is it being done now but not consistently, or is it something that you want to outsource? Why is it a bottleneck for you? Yep. You've got to get the structure down. Great. Cool. 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 So if you have an existing process that could be partially outsourced or have someone else partially help you out with that, documenting it and turning it into a process is the first thing to do. And then you can have a look at it and go, okay, well, what bits of this process actually need me? You put yourself in that, and then the rest of it, you have someone else run it. Cool. All right. Anyone else want to share? No, we're good? All right, cool. So next up, we're going to get into how do we actually flush out these processes. So as I said a couple of minutes ago, guys, these 10 bottlenecks that you've just written down and your jump shots, your 6 to 8 jump shots, are going to be the first processes that you document, that you flush out in the business. That's going to give you, number one, hopefully a bunch more time and a little bit more order in the business once you get through all of the bottlenecks. And then the jump shots are going to help you to unpack some of that stuff that's up here and get it into the minds and the hearts of your team as well. And what you'll find is when you do that, if you've ever had the feeling of, wow, I just wish I could clone myself, or I wish that my team cared about these things as much as I care about it, the jump shots are the way of getting that out of your mind and getting your team empowered to know and to learn, okay, this is why these are important. And at that point, they're either going to come on board with it and say, right, I know why this is important now, I know why this needs to happen, or they're going to continue to say to you, no, I don't care about why it's important, I just want to do the process. And at that point, you get to make the decision of, well, do I want to have employees on my team who understand the why, who are invested in why it's important that we do these things, or do I need to find someone else to fill that? All right, cool. So next up, this is the system for writing systems. It's over on 2 slides, so you might want to go on a new, yeah, exactly, yep. You might want to go on a new page. So I was taught this by Stuart Cook, who's the CEO of Zambrero, who won fastest growing franchise in Australia, I don't know, 2-3 years in a row. And I think he learned it from Jack Deloso, who probably stole it from Dale Beaumont, who I'm sure stole it from someone else. So I don't know exactly where it came from, but it's a great little process, and we've kind of all improved it along the way. But I want to go through this with you step by step and show you guys how to write really great business systems. And this is the key to you flushing out your jump shots and your bottlenecks. So in every business system, we're going to need all of these key elements, and I'm going to go through them one by one with you. So the first one is the what. We need to identify what is the result of this process. What is the final outcome that we want to achieve? And ideally, if we can show what success looks like, even better. What is the result of this process? And I like to use the example of payroll. So what's the result? What's the result of payroll? Happy employees, yeah, that's one result. What else? Happy employers, maybe. Yeah, what else? Yeah, ATO's happy, yep. Everyone gets paid on time, maybe. Paid accurately. That's the result, that's success. All right, so, yeah, someone else? Sure, yeah. All right. So we've identified the what. What is the result of this process? Next up, we need to identify the why. Why is it important that the person doing this process actually does it correctly? And what's the risk if we don't do it correctly? So if payroll isn't completed accurately, well, we may run into legal issues. We may overpay or underpay. Either way, that's a liability on the business. If it's not done on time, well, if we don't get it submitted and authorized by 5 p.m. on Friday, sometimes the money won't show up till Tuesday. Absolutely, yeah. Turns into a shit fight. Now, if it is completed correctly and it's consistent, well, then your staff are going to trust that, yes, the business always has the money to pay me. Yes, the business is healthy. Yes, the business owner cares about me because they respect me enough to do it on time and make sure I can go out and get drunk on Friday night when the money hits the account. That's the pleasure of a good result. And that's the why. Now, if you just gave someone step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5 on just doing payroll, but you didn't give them the why, and you hadn't outlined what the result was, team member starts going through payroll, they get up to step 3, they get stuck, and they come back to you and they say, I got up to step 3, I got stuck. Can you tell me what to do now? Feed me more, please, feed me. But if someone gets up to step 1, step 2, step 3, and they have a problem, but they know what the result of the process is, and they know why it's important that it's done on time, they know why we're doing this, they're going to come back to you and they're going to say, hey, you know what? I've got a bit of an idea of where we're trying to get to with this. I know what result we're looking to get. I know why this is important. I know why we're doing this. Well, here's how we could maybe tweak step 3, and then I can continue on with the process. You cool with me to update the process? Yes, go ahead. Cool. That's why that why is important. So next up is the when. What are the trigger points that alert someone that this process needs to be followed? And there's 2 types of trigger points. They're not on the slide. I need you to write them down. So one is calendar-based. This process happens Fridays at 10 a.m. Or this process happens on the last day of the month. Or this process happens at the start of each quarter. That's calendar-based. The next one is event-based. This process happens when we onboard a new customer. Or this process happens when we have an injury in the workplace. Or this process happens every time the phone rings. So there are trigger points. That's when we know we need to do the process. And then within what deadline, within what time frame does this need to be completed? Payroll must be completed by 12 p.m. Fridays every fortnight by the accounts officer so that Peter can log on and approve it before 5 p.m. That's a deadline. Our customer onboarding process must be completed within 48 hours of a customer signing their contract and getting started with us. A lead must be called within 2 hours or within 4 hours of hitting our CRM system or our email lead inbox. Everyone following? Yeah, cool. All right, next up is the who. What is the job title of the person performing this task? Now, the obvious one here is as we're building out our systems and operations manual with all of these processes, someone moves out of the business and we replace them with someone new. We don't want to have to go through and update all the names. But the less obvious one is that when we give our team members titles for the work that they're doing, and it's not just Bob who helps out with the accounts on Thursday or Sarah who deals with customer stuff, it's an operations manager or a project manager or a customer concierge or a finance assistant. When we give our team those titles, we empower them to take on the responsibility of what that role actually means. Us as entrepreneurs, we don't give a shit. We don't care about our role. We don't care about the title. We don't care what's on our business card. Because, for us, the business is just business. It's our business. But for our team, it's really important. Not just from an ego perspective, but really so your team feel valued. So they feel valued by you. So it's important that you write out these processes. You write that this process is completed by the finance manager. This process is completed by a customer concierge. And you can make them fun or wacky and whatever if you want to, but make sure that each process has a title attached to it. And then finally, we come to the how. Notice how this is the last step in writing out our business process. How is this task completed? Comes after all of the other context of the who and the when and the what time and the deadlines and the result. Now we get to the how. So what are the implementation steps? Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. How do we actually do this process? Next up is an audit checklist. How can we check that this process has been completed successfully? One of the little checks that I do is when I'm completing my part of the payroll, which is just to basically go in and approve it. What I'll do is I have a payment file uploaded, and my only responsibility is to approve that payment file. It's the only responsibility that I have to do. But I do a little check. I'll log into Xero, and I'll go into the pay run, and I'll look at the total figure in the net of the pay run, and I'll make sure that that matches the total amount that I'm about to release in funds from the bank account. I'll just double check that matches. Now, that's not my responsibility for that to be correct, but I check that that matches because I know that if that doesn't match, someone stuffed something up. They've downloaded the wrong payment file, or the payroll's been modified since that payment file was downloaded, or something else has gone wrong somewhere else in the process. So just that little check saves me, or saves something else maybe going wrong and someone not picking up on it. So what are the little checks that someone can do as a little audit checklist to make sure the process has actually been done properly? It's your little QA, sorry. And then we show the task being completed. So that's either via screenshots, video. I'm going to show you guys some tools to do that. Now, is this easy enough for you guys to do? Yeah? And do you think if you followed this structure and framework, you could pretty easily flush out the 16, 18 processes that you've just written down? Yeah, awesome. That's your homework. That's your homework. And start on one of these a week. If you want to take it nice and easy, start with one a week. And get your team involved as well, especially if your team are already running these processes in the business. Well, then you get them involved. Make it a team effort and you say, hey, you know what? Like, we're each going to turn in one process a week. And just think, how quickly could you get through all the processes in your business if every team member was turning out one process a week? That's not much to ask for. 1 a week. How are you doing things currently? Because you will have just trained your team to do what they're doing now, or they would have learnt it from someone else when they joined the business. Have them help you document these. Easy enough? Cool. Any questions on that? Or are we doing all right? No? Love it? Awesome? Cool. Now, when you write these out, you don't have to, and you'll see when I demo our systems portal and how it all works, you don't have to write out what, why, when, who, how in every process. But what you do need to do is make sure that you've at least identified each one of those within the process. Does that make sense? You don't have to follow the process exactly, as long as you're conscious of that and make sure that context is in there. All right, now some more practical stuff. These are the tools that you're going to use to bring it all together. So I want you guys to write these down, and I'll give you a copy of the slides as well, but Sketch is what we use for screenshots. Sketch lets us create really cool screenshots and share them with our team. We're going to use them to document our processes. Screencast-O-Matic is a free screen recorder software. So what that lets you do is record what's happening on your computer screen and do a voiceover. And with that voiceover, you can actually explain and talk somebody through the process. Next up is your smartphone, either Android or iPhone, that's fine. And if you've got any outdoorsy tasks that you want to document, that's what you use that for. So this is how we, outdoorsy, like this is how we use a particular tool, or this is how we load a truck. You guys are inside business. Who's got an outdoorsy business? Anyone? Yeah, cool. So this is how we use this piece of equipment. This is how we use this tool. This is how we pack this truck. This is what this finished result looks like. Yeah. Lucid Chart. I'm going to show you what we do with that. Lucid Chart is an online cloud-based mind mapping and flowchart software. And we're going to use that to draw out our processes that we want to show visually. Google Drive is where we're going to store all of these videos and stuff. And then finally, Google Sites is how we bring it all together. I'm going to show you guys how we do that in a second.
The Google Drive part of it,
Yes.
is it important as to all the other things being together that it's actually Google Drive, or is it any cloud-based drive?
No, it's got to be Google Drive to work with Google Sites and kind of bring everything together. Yeah. So, yeah. Let's have that conversation in my next session, because we'll be talking all about Google Drive and the rest of Google Apps ecosystem. Yeah. Cool. So this is how big businesses do operating procedure manuals, right? Binders gathering dust on a shelf somewhere. And they're there for compliance and bureaucracy rather than actually being useful, right? Small businesses, we do systems in a different way. This is what ours look like. Yeah, good. So we went looking for a solution. We read the E-Myth. I had a business coach who said, Pete, you've got to systemize your business if you want to grow it. And I went looking for a solution. How can we get these systems and these processes and put them somewhere so it's actually going to be useful? Because what we first did was we just started writing out all these systems, and they're all just in Word docs, and they were sitting on our server shared file, and no one used them. They went out of date straight away, and it was really a failure, our systemization effort. So we came across, being techos that we are, we came across a system called Google Sites, and Google Sites is kind of like halfway between Wikipedia and WordPress. It's an online, cloud-based, effectively a website builder. But what it lets you do is build a business intranet, which is private, just for you and your team. Now, if you've worked in corporate before, you might have heard of or used SharePoint, which is one Microsoft solution for this, expensive and clunky and blah, 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 as everything Microsoft is. But Google Sites is free, easy to use, works across all devices, really easy to set up and share with your team. So Google Sites is what we chose to use to organize all our systems and processes. And since then, we've put Google Sites into thousands of small businesses and help them to get started with an online standard operating procedures manual, which is available across all your devices, searchable for your team, and actually works, and is something that the team will actually use. So this is what Google Sites looks like. We've got a page, a little bit hard to see there, but we've got a page editor here, and you've got your standard kind of like text controls. On the left-hand side, we have a hierarchical folder structure. So just like the files that sit in your Dropbox or in your server drive or whatever, each one of our pages sits in a hierarchy of pages in Google Sites. And then we use this to build out and to enter all of our business processes. Yeah. Yes, it is. Yeah. Yeah. So it's browser-based, so it runs 100% in the web browser. Yeah. So you'll see here, here's a basic, very, very basic process. Office security. What do you do when you enter the building? What do you do when you leave the building? What happens after hours? If you don't call the number, you get fined $40, blah, 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 blah. That kind of stuff. That's a very, very basic business process. So we've been doing this about 5-6 years now, systemizing everything in the business. We've got hundreds. The whole business is systemized. And our team members now know that when they generate a new piece of information or knowledge in the business, it all goes in here. Absolutely everything. Even when we're training or we're doing something ad hoc or on the fly, it all goes into our intranet. We call ours the Genius Net. You can call yours whatever you like. But what this resource is it's searchable, so the team can search through it. And if every business process is in here, it means that we're not repeating ourselves, training over and over and over and over again as we grow and as we scale the business. And it's meant that we've gone from a business with 3 people to 15 people quickly in a couple of years. Revenue now is in the millions of dollars, and it felt effortless. Because I was like, oh, well, we need to bring someone new on. Great, just put them through the staff training process and onboarding process. And then we'll put them through the product training process. Oh, they're a salesperson. Okay, put them through the sales training process. Oh, they're a technical person. All right, put them through the technical training process. And we just have those processes there for everything. Now, we've been working on this for a number of years. So what you guys are going to focus on is just your key and most powerful processes that are going to help your business grow. That's what you're going to start with. So here's another one of our processes as an example. This one's called Your First Week. Who's ever worked for someone else? Yeah. Oh, wow, most people. Cool. So I had a real job once. I was 19. And I started working for this small business, marketing and promotions company. 3-4 people in the business. Pretty small business, but they were doing 7 figures of revenue. So that was pretty impressive from a small team. And for the first 6 weeks, I had no idea what I was doing. No idea. I got half a day handover from the person that was leaving in my position. And then I was in there, in the hot seat, just trying to work it out for 6 weeks. Now, think about your first day where you worked when you worked for someone else, and think about, well, how well did they do to prepare you? Or did you just have to work it out? And so what we really focus on is when we bring in new starters, we've got a great onboarding process, and we've mapped out the whole first week. The first week onboarding process includes absolutely everything that must happen in the first week of someone new joining us. And guess what are the first things that we train somebody on? These are all hyperlinks to other pages here. What would be the first thing on the first day I'd be training someone on? We went through it today. Yeah, systems. Something in particular. What did we identify today that would be important to teach someone on their first day in the business? Our jump shots. Yeah. So here we have, on day one, these little hyperlinks here, link out to the pages with our jump shots on them. Yeah, I'm gonna do a demo and show you guys a little bit more of that. Here we have a screenshot. So this is generated by Skitch, which is our screenshot tool. And this one shows how to walk to the post office and collect the mail. Now, you may think that's a little bit of a joke and going a tiny bit over the top on mapping out a process, but we had a number of interns and administrative assistants come through over the course of a couple of years, and the first thing that we would tell them to do is, can you go and get the mail? That's going to be your job. And the first question they would ask was, how do I get the mail? You know? And so this is what I was just sick of saying it because it was just redundant information. So what we did was we put it in a process. Here you go. Here's how you walk to the post office. There we go. This one is a video that we've recorded with Screencast-O-Matic. We placed the video on Google Drive. I'm going to show you guys how to do this, and then we embedded it into the Google site. And what this video shows is when I book flights or travel or accommodation, I can forward those flight confirmations to one of my virtual assistants and say, hey, can you put this in my calendar? And what they'll do is they'll drop it into my Google Calendar, and it will look like this. Here we go. Flight details, booking reference, correct international time zone based on where I'm leaving from and where I'm landing. So all the times are in there perfectly. You can see there that Angel's created that for me. And that's all based on a simple video that I recorded on how to put flights into someone's calendar. Simple. Now just think about, with all of those little day-to-day administration tasks that you do and that your team are doing, how much extra time you could free up by starting to document some of these. Heaps. Absolutely. All right, so we're going to have a quick break very soon, guys. This is a flowchart created by Lucid Chart, which is one of the tools that I shared with you. And that's how we visually represent a process, if you want to show it visually. Pretty cool, huh? Yeah. Great, cool. I'm going to show you how to bring this all together. We'll have a quick break and then I'll do a quick bit of a, will we do a demo? How you guys going? You doing all right? Yeah, cool. Because what we'll do is I'll do a real quick demo on this. It's going to be an extra 5 minutes. And then we're going to take a break because we've got some other stuff to get into. I want to close the loop on this one for you guys. So let's jump into my Google site. So Google Sites is cloud-based. It's all 100% browser-based. So I'll just open up my Google site, and you'll see here that we've got a nice big picture there with some of our goals and our vision and that kind of stuff. Can you guys see this okay? Is that clear enough? Yeah, great. Cool. So you'll see here in our Getting Started section, this is our full section for, where is it? There we go. This is our full section for newcomers. So we've got lots of different bits and pieces in there. So I'm going to open up our culture, mission, and vision. It's one of the first things that we go through. All documented in one section there. Here we go. We've even started building out, because we've got an international team now, we want to make sure that the Filipino guys, they understand our culture and that we understand their culture as well. We've got some videos embedded in there. We've got these two guys who, they pull the keys out of someone's ignition. Someone's robbing a petrol station, and these guys were like sitting by the side of the petrol station having a beer, and they ran up to the robbers and took the keys out of the Commodore, so the robbers couldn't actually get away from their getaway car. It's hilarious. Anyway, we've got like Aussie slang and all those other bits and pieces in there. We've got learning about the Philippines, so same kind of thing. Some cultural stuff in there, and then here we've got Meet Team Genius. There we go. We put up some kids photos and stuff like that, just for a bit of fun. There we go. That's our team when we visited them in April. I even recorded a little video in our office of what our actual office looks like, because for the team here in the Philippines, they're all working from home. They haven't come to Sydney. They haven't seen us. I literally grab my phone, and this is what you do when you create a process. You grab your phone, you say, hey, it's Pete here, going to run through a quick process, going to show you what it actually looks like to work in our office, and I created that for the team. That's my GM Hardy, is Cronell. Anyway, so yeah, we've got some other stuff there, and then this is done with Skitch. I even created a markup of the city, just so the team can see and really connect with, hey, I'm a part of IT Genius, I'm a part of this business, and this is what it's like to work in Sydney for the team. And this is all just systems. These are all just simple processes. I'll go down and show you your first week. These are all just simple processes that make it nice and easy for the team to get started with us. So you can see here the your first week has been improved a bit since I took that screenshot. So we've got introduction. Here we go. Have a read of this. Learn about each pod and team members. Here's how you report in for work each day. Here's how you do your end of day traffic light report. And then on day one, we're going through tools and internal processes. There we go. And we're linking out to some of the jump shots. So if I open up, for example, a ticket process or service level agreements, you'll see that these jump shots link out to all important information that we want our guys to know on the first week of working with us. They're all within Google Sites, yeah. So they're just other pages. So if I go to ticket process, that's just another page within Google Sites, yeah. So structure-wise, you'll see here that we've got, on the left-hand side, as I said, there's a hierarchical folder structure. So you'll see the different areas of the business: executive, attraction, marketing and sales, finance, delivery, training. They're all our different areas in the business, and each of those has subsections with all the different processes in there. And some of them are really simple. So if I open up a process here, our invoicing for out-of-scope work, just says systems required. Here we go, there's a little text script that they need. But effectively, this process is all just in a training video. And when I record a training video, I'm recording my screen, and you can see, the mouse pointer and that kind of stuff moving around. But what I'm doing is, as that video is going along, I'm actually talking through all of that context. The who, the why, the how, what the result is. I'm actually talking through that as I'm going through the video there. And because we've got it set up in different sections here, we can lock down certain sections to certain staff. We can set some sections as read-only if we want. We recommend for all of your internal staff that are employed and that are a part of your business full-time, leave this edit open for everyone, because we want to encourage for everybody to be contributing to and improving our processes together. We want to encourage that consistent improvement, ongoing innovation from everyone. And we want to make it everyone's responsibility that if they see a process that has a problem, well, they go to their manager or they go to you and they say, hey, we need to fix this. We need to get it sorted. Now, every page has a full history of every revision made to it, and so you can always wind back changes and those kind of things. But this is your place where you build the value in the business. Think of it as a digital copy of what used to be a big fat book, your standard operating procedures manual. This is the 2016 digital version of this for you and your team. Cool. How are we doing, guys? This all makes sense? Yeah? Excited? Awesome. Cool. Any questions on that or how it works or anything like that? No, we're good? All right, we're going to take a break. How long is that going to be for? I'll let you jump on, man. Take it from here.